Welcome back to another video. I'm Amy, and in this video I'll be talking to you about anger and giving you 3 ways that you can manage your anger. Hi there everyone, nice to see you. So in this video I'm going to be going into more detail about the emotion of anger. So this is an emotion that I actually know very well. And maybe you're the same. Maybe you're here right now because you're actually feeling anger in this moment. And you're welcome. Anger has a incredibly bad rep. It really is like the bad guy of emotions, which is really interesting. Because when we look at the vibrational scale of consciousness of emotions, it actually is quite close to the middle, towards the positive emotions, towards the ones that we classify as having a positive driving force behind them. I found this extremely interesting when I first noticed it, so I decided to look into it a little bit further, and I noticed that anger is not such a bad guy after all. So why does it have this bad reputation? And why do we feel like it's so wrong if we express our anger? Well, obviously there's the practical side of this, is that we have on some level noticed that anger is a very powerful feeling, and it can make us do incredibly powerful things that can be crazily destructive if we just allow it to let loose. So, when I look at my life, there was 2 phases to my anger. It was always there, but there was that time when I thought, I don't get angry. I am the person who smiles and never shouts at anybody, never loses their temper at anyone. But I was really incredibly angry at myself. I would just project all of this anger onto myself all the time. So inside I was really screaming at myself, but on the outside, completely composed, smiling, not losing it at anyone at all. And then life happened and all the shit came down, and I went through some experiences that were pretty difficult to cope with. And during that time I noticed that all of a sudden, boom, I lost the ability to control, suppress my anger. So what happened? I started losing it at everyone, like really, really badly. And then what happened? Well, I caused a lot of pain to other people. I shocked a lot of people. I said things that hurt people. I did things that were destructive and caused damage. So neither of these approaches to anger, as you can see, are actually serving us. Whichever of these, or if it's a combination of the 2 that you find yourself in, neither of these are serving us. We need to first accept that. The traditional method, or the 2 traditional methods to controlling anger, either being the one who's suppressing it, or being the one who's just losing it willy-nilly and just upsetting everyone and just letting it out. These seem like the only 2 options. But there's a third way, there's a middle path. Let's try to understand this bad guy, anger, in a little bit more detail. Let's see where it's coming from. Anger is one of those very primitive emotions, which is one of the reasons that we get so gripped in it when it comes up, and that it's so tricky to control once it's right there, ready to be let out, because it comes from a defensive mechanism, an evolutionary mechanism to defend our territory. And you only need to have any pet that is territorial, for example a cat, to notice this. Okay, so let's say my cat encounters a neighbor's cat on the driveway that has come into its territory, that's threatened its territory. It identifies, my cat does, with this certain area of land around our house. And this neighbour's cat's trespassing during my cat's patrol time. Well, what happens? Well, anger happens. And they fight. And they let it out. And they attack each other. Okay? And my cat, I can tell you, feels absolutely no shame about this. So clearly, we don't react in that way. Or it's not acceptable, let's just say. It's not acceptable to react in that way to anger. Because we like to think we're very proud of our consciousness level, of our scale in evolution, and we like to think we're above the animals. So it's a cold, hard lesson to us, and it's a source of shame for us to realize that actually we're no better than the cats that are screaming and fighting at each other on the street. So there's that innate collective shame that we feel about anger, which has led to this society norm of it's bad, it's wrong and shameful and destructive to let out anger. And in many ways, that's right. Because, luckily, we have evolved to the point of being consciously aware of our emotions and coming to the point where we feel like we have a sense of control over how we behave, how we act. So we're not just going to brawl and destroy each other because one's come into the other's territory, or because someone's attacked your emotional territory, said something to you that violates some belief that you have about yourself, that you hold on to, that you feel like you need to prove about yourself. Maybe it's an emotional attack. So we like to think we're beyond that. And it's a great source of realization and shame to realize that maybe we're no better than the animals on some level. There's that side of it. But there's also the personal shame of anger. There's the times that we have either observed other people losing their temper, acting destructively because they couldn't control it, and then hurting other people, causing damage, either emotionally or physically damaging. And we've made that judgment of, oh, I don't want to be like them, I better control my anger. Or there's the times that we remember in our lives that we lost our tempers, we lost awareness of what we were doing, or we lost the ability to control what we were doing, and we caused emotional or physical harm. And we feel a great sense of shame about that. So for example, I remember a time when I was younger that my brother had done something to annoy me. And I remember just about 6, seeing that red mist come down. And I marched into his room with a hairbrush and I smacked him on the head. Okay? And he was bleeding from above his eye. And I was like, oh my God, I blinded my brother. It was terrible. The reaction was very extreme, that I am bad for doing this and I felt horrible for doing this. And the conclusion that I made was, I need to make sure this never happens again. I must shut down this anger if it ever comes up again. So that probably one of the times that I started to suppress the anger. Now, if you notice this cycle that we're getting into here between these two emotions on that vibrational scale of consciousness, we're getting into a cycle between anger and shame. And this is probably, for the most part, where the average person spends their time with respect to anger. They feel anger come up. They try to control it. They struggle and let it out to a certain extent. Then they cause emotional, physical harm. Now I'm the world's most terrible person. And we go straight into shame, which is on the lowest level of this scale. And it goes round and round again. Another attack, more shame, and it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And the more we lose our temper, the more we think, oh my God, I'm a terrible person. I'm an angry person. I shouldn't exist right now. this doesn't serve. We first need to accept this, that going between anger and shame like this does not serve. Going through such a powerful, driving emotion such as anger, and then going to such a powerful negative emotion that basically says that I shouldn't exist. I shouldn't exist right now. I don't deserve to exist right now. I'm a piece of shit. This is too distractive. This is where I've spent most of my time. And this is where anger is probably causing the most harm collectively among the human race, is with this destructive cycle, because it gets harder and harder. I've got to try and suppress the anger, then it comes up again, and then more shame. So what are we going to do? Where's the middle path? You might think that perhaps I'm just going to be stronger. I've been there. Maybe I just need to make myself stronger. And if I'm stronger and tougher, I won't let this anger out. So I'm going to ask you, has that ever worked for you? Have any of the times where you felt intense rage and you've said, I must keep this down, I cannot lose my temper, I cannot let this out, I must control it, has that ever made the anger go, okay, I'll just go back and hide then? No. It's got stronger, and you've struggled and probably lost your temper. Or you've managed to shove it way down. And did that feel peaceful? Did you feel the anger disappear when you suppressed it? Or did it feel like you swallowed a bomb? Because suppressed anger, remember when we were talking about emotions, they never go away when we suppress them. Energy cannot be destroyed. So when we suppress them, it influences subconsciously. Would you like this powerful energy influencing your daily life subconsciously? Expressing itself in the form of irritation, physical issues. Oftentimes we do get actual physical issues from suppressed anger because it's that intense of an emotion. Don't swallow the bomb. So let's look at the middle way. What can we do? Well, first, just as we were talking about with emotions in the last video, we need to get past this idea that I must control my anger, creating that resistance. And actually, if I'm saying I must control my anger, can you hear the slight level of fear there? Because I'm actually afraid of my anger. I must control it. I'm afraid of what I can do when I have this anger. I'm afraid of what it means about who I am when I have this anger. Remember, emotions cannot be destroyed. They're energy. And a lot of the time, just as when we were talking about Newton's third law, when we push on something, it pushes back. So we're trying to push it down and it's pushing back. We're pushing it down out of fear and shame and it's pushing back harder and harder. Don't try to control your anger. Energy cannot be destroyed in that way. Only either dissipated, so it just spreads out back into the universe where it came from, or transferred. So we're going to look at these ways. Let's first look at the dissipated route. Actually, this is one that is incredibly effective, and I would recommend anyone who has, well, air quote, anger issues to try it, if you don't already. So the most obvious is physical exercise. I, for example, have taken up boxing in the past few years, and I find that very, very therapeutic. But what we're doing there is we're taking that energy, that powerful energy, and we're physically dissipating it. We're transferring it into physical movement, and that feels really good. So people who are addicted to intense exercise probably find that in them. So you can go for a run, do boxing, do a CrossFit class, an incredibly intense CrossFit class. I would find that very therapeutic. Or you can actually listen to angry music. I find that also therapeutic. Someone really, really screaming, because I can't scream my anger out, so I'm going to listen to other people scream their anger out. And we're dissipating it into other forms of energy, movement, sound, however. You can get in the car, literally drive down the motorway and scream, but transfer it. Allow it to dissipate into other forms of energy. And that way it's just back out into the universe as sound energy, vibrational energy. Go. You feel better. For now. What about when it comes back, right? So this is a short-term fix. So we can start looking about ways that we can channel it, transfer it, allow it to move healthily through the body and back out. So for example, breath techniques, I find these very, very beneficial. If you're finding yourself in a situation where you are feeling incredibly angry and you actually, for whatever reason, decide that you cannot leave, go down the motorway and scream or go boxing or anything like that, well, what do? How do I dissipate it that way? You can use your breath. This is incredibly efficient technique, actually. Remember, when we are moving breath through our body, we're also moving energy through the body. Breath carries energy. So a very effective breathing technique that you can use is anger starts, particularly suppressed anger, down in the lower chakras, so towards the root chakra. So you can literally imagine drawing your breath up from that point. Open your chest and breathe it out. Do a few breaths like this. Another one that's incredibly effective, but you might look a little bit silly if you do this around other people. Inhale. Head back, open your mouth and let it out. If you can't actually scream, we can breathe it out. So I invite you to try that. Use the breath, transfer the energy, move it out, slowly release it. Allow this emotion to pass through you. The second way, we can channel this anger. Because remember, it is incredible, powerful energy. But with great power comes great responsibility, right? Spider-Man fans. So I have this anger. I recognize I have this anger. I'm not going to try and destroy it because it's energy and it's already here. So what can I do with it? Okay? If we can get to that point and consciously feel our anger, feel the space around it. Notice the power in it. Stop feeling the shame that I have it and the resistance towards it and trying to push it down. And imagine that it's this big ball of energy in your hands. Now, I have this great power, but I also have this great responsibility. What can I do? How can I channel this? Well, I can tell you how to channel it like an athlete. This works really, really, really well. You can channel the anger to get shit done, okay? So that job that you've been putting off around the house, next time you feel super, super angry, you've been procrastinating for months on tidying your room or doing the garden, hacking the weeds. Okay, right, now I have this anger, feel it, what am I gonna do? I'm going to channel it. I'm going to get my shit done because it's powerful energy. Remember, emotions are there to motivate us to act. So let's just use that. Ride that anger train and get all your shit done. Okay, maybe just blitz the entire house and I guarantee you'll probably feel better and calmer and more at peace by the end of it. Plus, you'll also have the added bonus of having got your to-do list done. So I remember when I was competing and I would, let's say, one race, just lose and underperform and start getting hard on myself and angry about it. And I can't believe this person won. How dare they beat me? You know, I thought I had this race in the bag and then someone came along last minute and just swept in. I feel anger about it or I feel anger at myself. And one of the ways I found very, very effective to channel that anger was drive it into determination. So this is what we're looking for here, is determination, channeling anger. Right, I'm going to get shit done. I'm going to win next time. No one's going to stop me. Feel the power there? It comes right from the heart. So this is another way that we can use this energy constructively. not destructively. There's another breath technique that we can use to drive this, to channel this anger. So we can draw the breath in from the lower chakra, the root chakra, all the way up to the heart. And then you can imagine like an energy beam blasting out of your chest. I'm going to do this. No one's going to stop me. Determination. Use this powerful driving force to move you forward in life. And the third option, the trickiest, but the most effective. Because probably what's going to happen with the other two ways is you're just going to get anger again, right? The next time someone threatens your emotional territory or your physical territory, you're just going to get triggered again, and you're going to have to keep cleaning your room or blowing in front of people, looking like an idiot, whatever, or going boxing. You'll be spending a lot of your time this way. Is there another way? Well, yes, there is. Notice, look at that vibrational scale of consciousness again. Notice where anger is, right? And look at these positive emotions. You can actually use anger to drive you up towards enlightenment. So let me ask you a question. Is it possible for me to piss you off if I am not triggering you in some way about a belief you have about yourself? Is it possible? Let's look at an example. So when I was teaching secondary school, the dear kids would say to me, probably on a daily basis, "Miss, you're a bad teacher. You're a rubbish teacher. I don't like you." Okay. And I would feel anger. How dare they? How dare they? Right. So, let's look at another example. If that student had come up to me and said, "Miss, you're really bad at playing tennis." I feel nothing. I just feel, okay. I don't care. I have no strong feelings about whether or not I can play tennis well. So anytime, literally anytime you feel triggered, anytime that you feel anger, it's a chance for you to look at some belief you have about yourself. For example, I must on some level be identifying with the idea that I'm a good teacher and feeling the need to constantly prove to people that I'm a good teacher. Otherwise, that student would not have bothered me, would not have been able to trigger me. So it's a chance for us to break down these belief systems that we have about ourselves. It's impossible to feel triggered and angry unless there is something inside you that really needs to feel like the opposite is true. I am a good teacher, or I am good at tennis, whatever it is. So we can use that to enhance our awareness, to take a look at that belief. Why is it so important that I feel like I need to be a good teacher? Why do I feel I need to prove this about myself? And unhook it and let it go. So it's a chance for us to become more conscious every single time. And there's one more level to it that I've found incredibly helpful about anger. If you're angry, if you're saying, as we were talking about the other day, "I'm angry that I've been treated badly," it means that you actually feel worthy of being treated well. You actually feel like you are enough, that you deserve good treatment, that you deserve happiness, and channel that. It's a sign of your self-worth that you feel angry. I actually prefer anger to shame, because shame says, I don't deserve to exist. Everyone should treat me like shit. I am a piece of shit. But anger says otherwise. If I'm angry, I'm fighting for myself. And I can check in and notice that feeling of self-worth. I am worthy of happiness. I am worthy of people treating me well. And then we can feel a sense of self-love and peace. So, I hope you found this video beneficial. I hope it helps you to see this bad guy of emotions, anger, in a different light. Remember to like and subscribe to my channel if you found benefit from this video. I'll be making regular videos to help you to unlock your true potential, empower you to live the life that you truly deserve. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Lots of love.